Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Everybody's working for the weekend. Taking care of business every day. Now it's wow, welcome to the working week.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Minimum wage.
Church, and I'm your host for the hour with my co-host.
I'm Sean McGauley, co-host for the hour.
And Sean and I work for an organization called the Central Massachusetts Workforce Investment Board, which is the organization that oversees the public workforce system for Worcester and 37 surrounding communities in southern Worcester County. Want to get right to it. We have a show chock full here today, so we're going to bring in our first guest, Mike Corcoran. And Mike is the program coordinator for a program that offers training funding to businesses through the uninsured, through their contribution made through the unemployment insurance system. So we're going to get into all the details here in a minute. But Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate the invite.
So let's just dive right into it then. What can tell us a little bit about the Workforce Training Fund?
Well, the
and what it
program's been
does.
around since 1999. Basically, it's a training program for all businesses in Massachusetts to utilize to train their workforce and improve their business. It's paid for through a surcharge tax of approximately $8.40 a year that every business pays when they pay their quarterly unemployment tax, so it's roughly $2.10 a quarter. We've done close to, I think, $300 million in training grants since the program started in 1999. Unfortunately, it's kind of a well-kept secret in Massachusetts,
Sure.
but a lot of companies make use of it. But it pays for an incredible amount of training to improve companies' businesses.
And so businesses that pay into this fund are able to access funds for it, to train their incumbent workers, and really the goal is to make their businesses more competitive and to help grow their business. Correct?
Yeah, basically that's how the whole thing started. And when back in 1998 timeframe, when the businesses were facing immense challenges, aging population, immigrant population, language issues, technology boom, global pressures in terms of economics and doing business across the pond, so to speak. Training became a real issue, and it was very expensive. So this is how the program gets set up. It's basically, it collects almost $21 million a year and gives it back in the form of 5 different types of grants to give companies the ability to train newly hired workers, their incumbent workers, do long-term training, customized training. It pretty much covers a wide range of training. The only thing it does not pay for is mandated training by the state or federal government.
Okay. And typically, the training fund is used to really bring in a new training component or a new aspect versus something a company would typically do on their own. Like if someone has a hire and they've got a basic procedures within their company, that would be something that would be paid through this grant. It's typical. I'm probably speaking more about the general fund.
Yeah, the general program grant's a customized grant of up to $250,000 where a company takes a look at its overall business and brings in a consultant, training providers to do the training they can't do on their own. So we don't pay for basic skills training through a general program grant. It's customized to meet your needs. You hire the provider you want to do the training. You can train as few or as many people as you want. And the beauty is that we'll pay for all the training. You have to pay people while they're in training, but the fund will pick up not only the training costs, but related training materials. And it's customized, so you can do one piece of training or 6 or 7 different things.
And it's also, as you said, provided through training providers. So a range of training providers. It doesn't have to be done in-house or done through a specific training provider.
Yeah.
It's someone
in-house
they can
training
work
is something a company would do on their own. What we're going to pay for is training they can't accomplish on their own.
So the general program up to $250,000. So and it's a 2-year window for them.
24-month contract to get the training completed.
So a great way for business to increase the skills of their workforce, bring on new learning about new systems or bring in new systems, bring in a lot of, I know manufacturers use it to incorporate like lean manufacturing principles and Kaizen and some
We've
other.
done millions of dollars in lean, continuous improvement, but
Yeah.
we've done computer training, English as second language, adult basic ed, project management, a lot of soft skills, communication, problem solving, team building, which are essential in business today to get the product out the door.
And so, as you mentioned, it is sort of a secret out there. So we're trying to spread the word and to have you, come chat with us so that businesses know more about this resource and can take it, advantage of it. We have had several companies in Central Mass this past year, take advantage of it, and it's a great opportunity for them to bring in these additional resources to augment their competitiveness. You did mention some other programs that are out there. So that's the general fund. What's some other ones? I know there's another good one for new hires.
There's a new hire. There's a program called the Hire Incentive Training Grant. This is a $30,000 grant over a 12-month time frame.
So sometimes people refer to that as Hitchy.
Hitchy, H-I-T-G, Hitchy. And what we're talking about here is that when we're talking about trying to get companies to look at long-term unemployed Massachusetts residents. And when
Yeah.
we talk about long-term or dislocated worker,
So is that
it's
six?
6 months out of work. So if a company is hiring someone either on a full or part-time basis and he or she has been out of work for 6 months, doesn't make any difference why they're out of work. They could be out of work for 2 or 3 years, but the minimum 6 months. They hire that person, they're going to have to spend some time training them. At this point, we'll give them $2,000 to offset the cost of the training, teaching this person the fundamentals of the job
Yeah.
in which they're hired. It could be external training or internal training. It's a max of 15 hires over 12 months to a total of $30,000.
So that's a new amount, correct? That's been increased.
This is going to be increased. They're redoing the application now. Secretary Goldstein and the advisory panel thought that to further incentivize companies, they're increasing it to $5,000 a hire to a total of $75,000 over 12 months. That should be kicking in probably by the end of September when the new
Great.
application is done. I should point out that all of these grants can be accessed online. They're all rolling applications. There's no deadlines for anyone to apply. You simply apply when you're ready for the fund.
Great. So that's something that businesses can look into. There's business service representatives at the career centers throughout the state that can help people understand the programs a little bit better, help them navigate the process. I know we at the Workforce Investment Board, we get to offer comments to the review team for the general fund applications, and we do. From time to time, talk to companies about thinking about putting in an application. The other thing that we've done in Central Mass is we've noticed that there's some small companies out there. They pay into the fund, but they don't necessarily have the wherewithal to manage, the grant itself, or necessarily the need for a full training grant. They've got maybe, small business. Maybe they've got a few staff, and so their training need is pretty minimal. And so what we did was we actually took a collection of those employers in the manufacturing sector down in Southbridge. There were 5 different employers that came together, so they had basic training needs that overlapped. And so what we were able to do is each company sent a couple, and we were able to fill a classroom for that particular course. And so we had a series of courses that they all needed, and so we did a consortium grant, which is another great way for companies to come together and work together to solve their joint training needs in a very cost-effective, manner. To bring in one trainer to train, 2 people is just about the same cost as bringing in, filling the rest of the classroom there. If you've got a class ratio of like 1 to 10, you might as well have 10 people in the room versus just 2.
Yeah, consortiums are a great way for companies to go, especially if you're small, or a lot of nonprofits have similar training needs because of the wages they pay or the cost of training. Combining with several other companies is a real good way to get a lot of training for a much better bang for your buck.
And so companies that, again, if you pay into the to UI Trust Fund, then you're eligible.
You're eligible, right. It makes no difference on your size. If you have one employee, you're eligible to partake of these programs that we're talking about. I should point out that I do travel the state giving free workshops and information sessions. I know I've got one coming up in your location in the near
October,
future. All this information is available on the website mass.gov/WTFP. or you can call my cell phone number at any time, 857-753-3494. Always happy to talk to anyone about the program.
Great. Now, so we've talked about the general fund, up to $250,000 to train staff over 2 years. We talked about the hiring incentive grant for hiring long-term unemployed. And there's another grant called the Express program.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Actually,
talk-
there's two more. There's the
Okay.
Express and the Technical Assistance. We'll talk about the
Okay.
Express. The Express grant program is kind of unique. It's geared for businesses with 100 or fewer employees. We talked earlier about some of the problems smaller companies have doing a large general program grant, customized training. So what we've said to these smaller companies that we have on the database under the Express program well over 2,000 pre-approved training programs. The programs could be on-site training, it could be an online training program, could be an off-site training program. Very basically, we pay 50% of anything you see approved on that. So if some company wanted to send someone for a computer course at a local community college and it was $500, if it was pre-approved and listed, they could take the course. We'll reimburse them 50% when the training's done. The contract is good for 24 months, and it's worth $30,000 in reimbursable training. And so we've geared it to smaller companies who really can't or don't have the wherewithal to do
So
a
trying
customized
to
grant.
make it as easy as possible
Right.
for them to pick off the shelf, so to speak.
Pretty much off the shelf, and there are, like I said, there's well over 2,000 approved programs. We're adding things all the time. We have vendors from in the state and out of state that are calling, trying to get listed as approved vendors. This is the only time we'll pre-approve a vendor since we need to know the cost. A course could last a day, 2 days, or 12 months, and they'll know when, where, and how much it's going to cost, and they sign up. We'll give them a contract, and again, when they're done, they send us the bill. We got them a check for 50%. These are no tax credits, by the way. These are direct reimbursements for the cost of training, and also there are no tax implications on any of the grants.
What a great opportunity for business to
super.
To really increase the skills of their folks, and a great benefit to their employers who will get increased skills and credentials out of it as well. So it's really a win-win. The last one you had mentioned was a technical assistance grant. So
This is kind of a grant that's been around for a while, but it's kind of been updated, I think, to meet employer needs. In the past, if you were doing a consortium grant, say pulling companies together, but you really weren't sure what training needs they had in common, you could apply for a $25,000 technical assistance grant to hire a consultant to come in and review skills, look at the training needs, and come up with a curriculum for these organizations so that person would say, look, you need communication skills, leadership skills, and maybe some
to really do an
skills.
inventory of their
Inventory
needs.
of their needs,
Yeah.
all right? And in the past, it was geared to consortiums. I'm happy to say that we are now opening this up to companies.
Okay.
So if a company has no idea of what the training they might need, rather than apply for a grant and get the wrong training, they could hire a consultant, have them come in, take a look at their skill set deficiencies, have them assess what training's been done, what training they think the company may need based on what the company does, develop a curriculum to suit that need, and then from that apply for a general program grant. Small companies aren't like IBM. They don't have a big HR company that can assess the
Right.
things that they need. So this is going to allow them to pick a training. I'm always concerned about a company having someone knock on the door and say, look, I do training. I can help you get a grant for the Workforce Training Fund program. You could really use this training. And then they find out when it's all done, that's not what they really needed, or
Yeah.
they should have done some more training
Yeah.
as
So
well.
really driven from the company up versus from a training provider
Right.
down, so to speak.
Right. So this is brand new. I'm encouraging companies to take a look at this. It allows them to access a professional to help them determine what their training
Is
needs
it a
are.
6-month period of
It's
time?
actually a 12-month contract worth up
Okay.
to $25,000. And we increased it to 12 months because I found in the past 6 months was not enough time.
Sometimes, yeah.
And as soon as they're done, they can apply for a general program grant. There's no waiting period between the grants.
So again, we're talking to Mike Cochran, the program manager for Workforce Training Fund. And folks, again, can get more information on the web at mass.gov.
/WTFP, or they can call my cell, 857-753-3494.
Okay, so any other thoughts out there that, especially for businesses that might be listening or nonprofits that might be listening, that, anything else that we want to, leave them with about the program?
Well, I think it's a real opportunity to really invest in your employees. We've found through the course of, it's going on now for almost 14, 15 years, a loyalty gets built up. the ability for a company to penetrate new markets, bring in their business, control their cost, has all been realized through training through the Workforce Training Fund program. We do a lot of English as a second language in adult basic ed, and that's something that I strongly recommend companies contact us about, because this is something that really makes a big difference in the company. And the bottom line is that if you haven't utilized the fund, you've been paying for it since 1999. If you're not using the money, your competitors are. So it's well worth your while to look into the program.
Great. And again, you had also mentioned that you have a roadshow that you bring out to folks and
All over the
really
state.
go over it. It's a great chance to get interactive. And so I know on the website there is a listing of where you'll be. They're all over the state. You've got a couple coming up in central Massachusetts. And it's probably important to note that all of the workshops that are listed are open to the public.
Right.
And so to contact you for more information. Well, again, Mike, thank you for coming in.
pleasure.
Appreciate you
Happy
having...
to talk about the program.
And so we certainly want businesses to take advantage. Before you leave, though, we do have one other thing to do with you. It's kind of our it is kind of a tradition here that we don't let you leave without playing a little game here. We're gonna lighten things up for a moment. And so, according to Business Insider, we're talking about past jobs of celebrities. So we're gonna give you a celebrity and give you 3 choices of jobs that he or she may have done. So the celebrity is Matthew McConaughey. So he was in several movies. Sean, do you know what any movies that Matthew McConaughey was in?
I just watched one of them.
He was in one, Failure to Launch, I think.
Yeah, he's in that.
Sahara.
Sahara, well, okay.
Never Been Kissed?
Never been kissed, right?
Chick flick?
Several movies.
I know that one.
That's the one you know. So, okay. So, Matthew McConaughey. Here, I'm going to give you three job titles, and you have to guess the one that he was. Let's see. So, surf instructor, chicken coop cleaner, or foot model. Which one of those was a past job for Matthew McConaughey?
Well, every time you see him, he's in the water without a shirt on, so I'll go with surfing instructor.
That's a very good guess.
And without his shoes. Never has shoes.
Never had shoes.
I mean, have you seen the man's feet? Have you seen these feet?
Beautiful feet.
No, he was actually a chicken coop cleaner. This is according to Business Insider magazine. So I believe he has stopped doing that, however. If you do have a chicken coop out there, you will not be able to get Matthew McConaughey to clean it.
That was a tough one.
And so, Mike, before you leave, so we didn't win, so I'm sorry you
So
can't
no
offer you.
prizes for Mike.
The prize was an all-expense paid trip to Hawaii. So please, let's go over your number one more time.
857-753-3494.
And more information at mass.gov/WTFP. Thanks again for coming in. We're going to take Bob.
While Mike was on the air, we even had a phone call that said to say hi to Mike, and I passed him the note. So
Look at that.
he has fans out there, and he has
Right,
people
sir.
listening. Imagine that.
My sister called. Tracking
You
me down.
didn't have to admit that.
That's all right. I love her dearly.
Okay, so we're going to move on now. We've got a few things going on here. We have